perceptions about those folks who live in poverty are actually accurate perceptions. Today we're going to talk about ideas that are proven ideas, evidence-based ideas for getting out of poverty. And we have with us today two of the folks who were with us last week. We have Crystal Harris Darnell, who's the Executive Director of Youth Opportunities at the YMCA and the JCC. Welcome back.
Good morning.
It's good to have you back. You guys caused quite a stir last week. I'm glad to have you back.
Thank you.
And we have Stephen McDonald. He works at the Lucas County Family Council, where he is the coordinator out of the Bridges Out of Poverty program. One of the really cool things that's happening, and we talked about Bridges Out of Poverty as a concept last week and some of the initiatives that spring from Bridges Out of Poverty, and we're going to be talking more about that today, but we are lucky enough in Toledo to have one of the co-authors of Bridges Out of Poverty coming in to speak with us. I think it's on April 3rd, is that right, Stephen?
Correct. Yes, April 3rd at the Sullivan Center at Central Catholic High School. Ruby Payne, who, as you said, is a co-author, she originally wrote Framework for Understanding Poverty, which is for K through 12 teachers, and also wrote Bridges Out of Poverty, and she's speaking through the Toledo Community Coalition from 7 to 9 p.m.
that night, yeah.
Right.
We're going to give you the rest of, we'll give you that information again before the end of the show so that you can write it down. The cool thing about this approach is that, as Stephen mentioned, the Toledo Community Coalition, a group here in town who is really focused on changing hearts, changing minds around the issues of poverty and racism and all those things that we don't manage so well as a society. And she is coming to talk to us about this, and you really won't want to miss it. And again, we'll give you that information before we leave you today. But let's talk about ways to get out of poverty. So lots of discussion last week about, you know, it being generational and intentional by those folks who are sort of stuck in that situation. But you guys are saying, you know, that's not always the truth. You don't always have to be stuck.
Yeah.
Well, and you know, the conversation we had last week, I think something to add for those who might not have watched the program is the four.
Where were you if you weren't watching this program?
Why not?
Yeah.
But there's 4 areas of research in terms of why poverty exists, and it's individual behaviors, lack of social support systems, oppression, both past oppression and current exploitation, and laws, policies, and systems. And one of the things that's important to know is that if you're not working on all those causes of poverty, we're never going to be able to solve the problem. Mark Twain has a great quote, says, "To a man with a hammer, everything looks like a nail." So if your bias is that individual behavior is the only thing that causes poverty, that's the only thing you're going to think needs to be fixed. And we need all the tools in the toolbox to be able to solve poverty.
So first, well, let me just ask you, why should they care? If you're not somebody who is impoverished, why should you really care about other people who are impoverished? And I know, I mean, I don't want us to break into a round of kumbaya here, but I know it's about, part of it is about we need to be concerned about our neighbors and our, you know, the rest of the world. But really, when times are rough for everybody, why should people care?
Well, poverty has an impact on all of us, whether it's directly or indirectly. And so when, you know, we just look at education, and when we're not educating our kids, that has an impact on our economy, our communities, our neighborhoods. And so I feel that if we don't deal with this issue as a collective group, I mean, there is some fallout when we look at poverty. And so again, when we talk about there's some of the things that we're doing in Toledo, and we have, first of all, we have to understand the causes of poverty. There are many causes, and it's not, again, not just about individual. And so until we understand all the causes of poverty, only then can we come together and we can design programs and solutions and strategies in order to deal just with some of the issues that we're dealing with when we look at poverty. And so not only that the people in poverty get stuck Okay, but also the people that we're designing these programs, the professionals, the institutions, we also get stuck in a place where we are designing programs, and if we don't include all people from different classes, and we all are sitting around the table, then our programs don't work. So we're wasting money, time, and resources.
You know what? And the other thing too that I always like to remind people of is that the reality is that most people are one paycheck away, 2 paychecks away at most from being really in financial difficulty.
Right, and I agree. To make it a concrete example here, yeah, people are struggling, and there are folks also that, depending on if they're not making a lot of money, we talked last week about people that have 2 jobs and are working hard and still aren't making it. If you talk to most manufacturers who are, and you talk to the supervisors, they will tell you they spend a lot of time dealing with employees around absenteeism and lateness because the employees are dealing with emergencies that they don't have the resources to handle.
Manage.
And so one of the things, and this is a Bridges Out of Poverty initiative that we're bringing to Toledo, part of the thing too is you said that paycheck. When somebody's car breaks down and they need to get to work, and if they have bad credit or no credit, they try to solve that problem so that they don't lose their job.
They do, and it also, and you mentioned this I think last week, Crystal, it makes that population of folks subject to what I call predators. The predatory lending thing, those other businesses that are designed to make it look as though they're helping you with a quick fix, but at the end of the day, you're paying for it dearly in outrageous amounts of interest.
You solve the problem today, but the next paycheck, you got another problem.
That's right.
And then if you roll it over, you got another problem.
So,
right. We're working in Toledo with credit unions and businesses so that there's programs that you can put into place where the credit union, basically the employer designates their employees as employees in good standing. So if they've worked there for a year, they've got a good attendance record, they've got no disciplinary issues, the employer says, this is an employee in good standing.
And then the company gives a loan.
Well,
or the credit union gives a loan.
They have a relationship with the credit union where the person gets sent to the credit union, and they, in lieu of the credit report, the credit union gives them a small dollar loan, $500 to $1,500, to solve that problem. The money gets taken out of the paycheck, and it goes to pay off the loan.
That's a great idea, and we talked about that a bit before, but go ahead.
The difference in the interest, if you get a $500 loan for 90 days from a payday lender, you're going to spend $450 in interest.
Wow.
If you get a 90-day loan for $500 through this, it's not a program. It's between the business and the credit union.
Okay.
You pay $22 in interest.
Isn't that amazing?
For 90 days.
So that's
it's
one
a win. It's a win-win-win-win. It's a win for the employee. It's a win for the employer because they get a more stable workforce. It's a win for the credit union because they get more business.
More business.
And it's a win for the community because that money stays in the community. So you're making the community more stable. And this, when you asked that question to us earlier, we are, that's in everybody's interest to have a more prosperous city.
Absolutely, and that's an amazing road away from poverty as well. Can we talk for a second, just for folks who may not know, quickly, Stephen, can you tell me in 30 words or less what Bridges Out of Poverty is all about?
Bridges Out of Poverty is a book, and it's a training that provides a common language and understanding so that people from all economic class backgrounds can work together to come together around the same table and create solutions to solve poverty. One of the things that has been missing from the picture for many years when we're looking at solving poverty is to have people in poverty at the table when the plans are being made. Because if they're not there, the programs that are designed don't necessarily
Yeah, it's sort of what
work.
Crystal was saying. You got to have the right folks at the table, making sure that the programs are developed, successfully. I hate that term program, though.
Yeah.
I don't like that term program. I think over the years it's developed an awful lot of negativism around it, and these are really more pathways. These are more, they're not. They're lifestyle changes. They're cultural changes.
And they're like I said, with the small dollar loan program, which is also through the LISC,
Yeah.
with Valerie Moffett and Evelyn McKinney, through the United Way, we came together to make this happen, and we're also utilizing the Filene Research Institute and a grant from the Ford Foundation to actually study how this is going to work. But that whole initiative is not a program. It's solving a problem for businesses,
Absolutely.
solving a problem for credit unions, and solving a problem
For the
employees.
community. That is one way out of poverty, and I know that there are others that we'd like to talk about today. So we're going to go to a break right now. How about that? And then when we come back, let's talk about some of the other ideas that you guys have for helping folks move ahead. All right, we'll be right back in just a moment. Please stay with us.